that's our objective for today. And let's just dive in right to what is your mindset. So there, Carol DeWick, I have her book right here called Mindset. She's a psychologist at Stanford University, and her studies is on how we as individuals handle a challenge. And she started working with younger children to understand how they grow and learn. So in summary, she came up with two different mindsets that we can have, and it's our choice. One is a growth mindset, the other is a fixed mindset. And basically, a growth mindset is someone who perceives a challenge as an opportunity to grow. So they're taking this challenge, they're figuring out why it was a challenge and what they can do differently, and they thrive on that. They grow and they learn. A fixed mindset is the mindset where we're more failure oriented, that we get a challenge and we can't deal with it. We get frustrated and we give up and we don't let our minds grow. So it's a great book. The link down there that let me go back here. The link that I have here is a link to one of her YouTube videos if you want to learn more about that. So right now, I'd like all of you to take out a piece of paper and a pen and write down two challenges that your business has encountered or experienced during the last 12 months. So if you're not currently in business, but you're thinking about the business, you can answer it from what are two challenges that I encountered that stopped me from taking a business idea and executing it. Kind of getting beyond that. So just take a minute to think about that challenge, two challenges. Go ahead and write them down. And then I'd love for you to also use the chat box and to type in your challenges there as well. So I'll just give you a minute here to do that. And I think by typing your challenge into the chat box, we'll see that there's some of us that have had some similar challenges.
I have fear and lack of resources is one.
Oh, okay, great. Fear is a good one. Go ahead.
Shutdown of social gatherings, and they were into party entertaining.
Ah, that was a big challenge, absolutely. All right, so now think about these two challenges and how did you respond? Were you frustrated and shut it down and kind of put an end to your progress at developing your business? Or did you approach it with a growth mindset? Did you try to figure out how you could let this challenge help your business grow? So think about that. And of course, different challenges, we probably have different mindsets. So I want to talk about my challenge. And COVID is a big challenge that is out there today, and everyone has to deal with it. But back in the day, I think this was 2005 when we invested in this business, we had a huge challenge. As I mentioned, we bought a firm. It was called Phillips Syrup, and it was founded in 1921. So there had been a few owners prior to us. And basically, we bought the recipes to make chocolate and hot fudge and caramel and fruit toppings. And we also bought a customer list. So we sold wholesale. We didn't sell direct to individual people consuming, sundaes. So we bought a company that manufactured toppings for ice cream. Well, as any of you might know, ice cream is a great summer treat, but not quite as desirable in the winter. We happened to buy this business in the month of March. So of course we were like ecstatic that we had made the best decision, the best investment, because the summer was super busy And, a lot of people bought ice cream toppings for their sundaes. Well, little did we, we're smart people, but somehow we missed the fact that this was a seasonal business, right? Come the end of summer, no one wanted ice cream sundaes. So our first challenge is that we had purchased a seasonal business, a business where it only had revenues coming in for like a third of the year. And our second challenge that we never really thought about was that one of our competitors, there were other people making toppings like we did, but one of our big competitors were customers buying ice cream cones. So remember, we were in the topping business. We wanted people to buy ice cream sundaes, not the cone. So those were our two challenges that we had to deal with. How do we change 4 months or 3 months of revenue into 12 months? And how do we get people to want to buy the ice cream sundae as opposed to the ice cream cone, which would bring zero profits to us? All right, so I'm going to just set that aside. Those are the challenges. And then after we discuss some terms, pivot and strategy, I'll jump into kind of our strategies that we use to be able to pay our mortgages, right, and our bills. All right, so the term pivot, it's a trendy term right now. The term has been around forever. Basically, pivot means if plan A does not work, pursue plan B. It's pivoting is a change in direction. It's a change in strategy. And strategy is really just a way of thinking. You want to be strategic. As an entrepreneur and business owner, it's very easy to slide into the tactical. The tactical is, how do I pay my bill? Just trying to keep up with customer orders. But strategic is just taking, oops, I just got a message. Are you guys okay? Can everyone see my slides?
Yeah, we can see them.
Okay, it said I was unstable there. That would be my pivot. How would I project slides, right? So strategy is a way of thinking. It's just sitting back, taking a breath, looking at the big picture. What's my game plan? It's a method or plan that you choose to bring about a desired future. And again, firsthand experience, it is so easy to get caught up in the day-to-day and not look at the big picture. So we have those terms, pivot, strategy, and what's really cool about business is a lot of entrepreneurs believe that luck is a factor. You need to be prepared for luck when it comes your way. And I'm sure a lot of you have heard of the effectuation theory, which you've maybe never heard of that term, but it's the lemonade principle. And that is, if life gives you lemon, make lemonade out of it. It's be positive about what happens to you.
Good and bad things can happen to everybody. So given that luck is always a factor, in what way is effectual entrepreneurship useful? And there comes the lemonade principle as an answer. The lemonade principle says that it's not about what happens to you. It's about what you do with what happens to you.
Contingencies are always something that every entrepreneur has to deal with. There's always setbacks, there's always highs, there's lows, there's, pivots all over the place. It's just part of
entrepreneurship. So look at your business right now, and are you prepared if luck comes your way? Are you positive? Are you looking at and thinking about things that happen to you? It's not what happens to you. It's about how you respond and react to that event. COVID, again, you can have a negative response or a positive response. And your mindset is so critical. that failure happens all the time, but look at that failure and think about a creative solution to make it a positive, a success, because we can't control the external events that are happening in our world. Today it's COVID, but as a business owner, it could be the government. For example, I was in the food industry. The FDA, the ODA regulates that industry. One of our products happened to be an ice cream cone coating. I don't know if any of you remember that. It's the hard shell. It happened to be trans fat. Well, when we started our business, trans fat was an ingredient that the government let you have had it in your product. However, 5 years into it, the government basically outlawed that. So we sold product in New York, and you could no longer have that as an ingredient in your product. So COVID's one thing, but the FDA also had a negative impact on our business, but we figured out how we could turn that into a positive. So in summary, luck, the unpredictable, bad events that are external to our business, we can't control them, but what we can control is our mindset, our response, how we can focus on creative solutions. So I put that out to you as a challenge. Your 2 challenges, think about how you can come up with a positive response to it. And I'll be digging into some examples here today, so hopefully that will help you just get the creative juices going. All right, so those are the basic terms that I wanted to cover. Profit we'll get into a little bit later. But basically, profit is just you're making more money than you're spending, and there's different ways that you can control both variables. So I mentioned that I taught a class at Baldwin Wallace on entrepreneurship, and it wasn't this semester, but the semester before when COVID hit. There were a lot of really cool examples out there. So we took a look at companies and how they were responding to an unpredictable event, that event being COVID. For example, movie theaters, their problem when COVID came around is that they had to close down. They could no longer, invite people to buy tickets to sit in a movie theater to see big screen, entertainment. So one of the companies that you probably are all familiar with is Walmart. Nothing to do with movies, right? But their creative solution to the impact that COVID had on their business was to form a partnership with the Tribeca Film Festival. And they set up drive-in movies in their parking lot. I absolutely love this example. And here's why I like it. Because Walmart used what they had. They had parking lots. They did not have to invest in a movie theater. They partnered with someone that had expertise in the film industry. So they were able to set up big screens, which they probably owned or maybe even sold. They opened up their parking lots to customers or anyone. They did not charge for these movies. You could drive in, get your spot. But guess what else Walmart did? Think about Walmart. They were really promoting their order online and pick up at the door. So you as a family could get in your car, drive to Walmart, pick up whatever snacks you wanted to eat while you watched a movie. So they used their current resources. They did a pivot. They were never in the movie business, but they pivoted to offer entertainment to get customers to come to their site. And once they had the customer there, they were hoping that they would buy product. So I don't know. I just thought that was really cool. Another company raise your hand, and Corinne, maybe you can tell me if people raise it. There's a company out there called Lush. Has anyone heard that? It's a big company. They make hand creams mainly. Has anyone been there or bought their product?
You have a thumbs up. But I definitely love that store.
I know. So, okay, this is, you can tell this is already dated, right? So way back in the day when COVID was new, we all were instructed to wash our hands for a certain amount of time because that is how we would prevent the spread of COVID or potentially prevent the spread. So what's the problem? Well, the health or whoever, the health experts told us wash our hands. But we as individual, I mean, how long do you need to wash your hand to make sure you killed the germs? Who knows? Well, some people at this company, Lush, did some brainstorming, right? They thought about, hey, well, we make soap, we sell soap. Why don't we come up with a new product? Like we took our soap, we repackaged it, and then they added an experience and instruction. So that was the value added. They started to sell their soap under a new label. And now it's like just one product. They still had their other products, but it was a 30-second soap, a self-timing soap. So let's see if this will pop up here. So that creative solution, they collaborated, they partnered with a company, Deliveroo. This was, I think, actually over in the UAE that they launched this product. So an international experience. But they partnered with someone, a delivery company like Uber Eats, a delivery company that was already going to the customer, right? So they figured out how to take a product that they already had, repackage it, add some instruction to add value, and get it out to the customer. So think about your product that you have today. Is there a way you can repackage it? And physically repackage it, or repackage it by the way you position it in the marketplace. Just kind of twist it up, make it new, make it different. A big trend in business, and maybe some of you have engaged in this, is customers want to be participating in things that they buy. So it's a experience, it's interactive. This is not the best of examples, but think of Chipotle. They were one of the first companies to let you select what you want on your product, right? It's fast food, you walk through, but it's engaging, like they're letting you engage and participate in your product purchase. All right, so another example is that was brought about by COVID is, dining restaurants closed. So we couldn't really go in, sit down and eat food, or we could eat in restaurants, but less people. So if you were the restaurant owner, one of Panera, again, this is a big company, but it applies to smaller companies as well, is they looked at, okay, what is my business all about? What am I doing today with my business? Well, they have to buy all these items, bread, produce, they're buying all these ingredients to make a finished meal. So what they did for a pivot, a creative solution, is that they repackaged their product and they added a customer experience. So now you could go to Panera to buy groceries, and instead of going to Panera to buy the final salad. So again, they were looking at ways to be creative, to be unique, to be different than their competition, to get people into their facilities. All right, so those are examples of big corporations, and you're probably thinking, hey, they have all these resources, they can do whatever they want. But you as an entrepreneur have an advantage of agility. You can move quickly, you can shift, change up your business model. You can also work with other entrepreneurs. And I will say the Women's Business Center, ECDI, again, if you haven't engaged with them, it is probably the best network out there in our neighborhood. I only wish I knew about, the Women's Business Center way back when we were starting our business. So there might be some other companies that you could collaborate with that to really help kind of switch up your business model. So an example of two local companies, one is called Sweet Brie, and it's two women who have decided to create their business product is charcuterie boards. And they make different charcuterie boards and then sell them. Well, they decided to partner, to collaborate with another local company, Cookies by Courtney Klee. And for Valentine's Day, they're incorporating her product into their boards. So what a great opportunity. Take a business that complements your business or enhances your business and try to partner with them. And the advantages there are that, first of all, you've just doubled your exposure to customers because Sweet Brie had their customer base, Cookies by Courtney had her customer base. So now, they're sharing that customer base. Their products are complements, they're not competing. So that's another advantage as well. So that's a creative solution. Again, COVID is just kind of putting the dilemma in front of us, but you should be creative every day and come up with new ways to get your product out there and work with other entrepreneurs to try to double up your customer base. All right, so we've covered, the terms, gave you some examples of how companies have pivoted successfully. Hopefully those examples will really get you to start thinking. I will show you how we pivoted in our business. So, and how I believe we were able to be actually more successful because of these challenges that we encountered early on in our business ownership. So again, earlier I mentioned we had two big challenges. One was that we were a seasonal business. No one really wants to buy an ice cream sundae in December. And the second challenge was that our competition was the ice cream cone. We wanted people to buy the sundae because we would make money, not the cone. Okay, so again, think of your business. We talked about profit. Profit can be increased. Profit is really just revenues minus all of your expenses is profit. It's the money that you get to put in the bank at the end of the day. So to be profitable, you can work with what you have. Don't buy anything new or try to minimize what you spend money on to implement this pivot. So look at your current product and can you find a new use for the same product? That's one pivot. And a second pivot is, can you find a new customer for the same or similar product? So take a minute, write down what your product is, and just put a little note, a new use for my product. And you have to think outside of the box for that. And then your second note is, okay, am I missing a customer group? Is there a whole new customer that currently buys something that I'm making, but just, I'm not aware of them today, or I haven't really focused on them? So think about those two variables, because if you can incorporate this kind of pivot strategy, it can be done without a whole lot of extra investment. All right, so what did we do? Our business, as I mentioned, was a food manufacturing company. So we basically made liquid chocolate, liquid caramel, anything liquid that had to do with chocolate, caramel, or fruit toppings. So we had the infrastructure to make it. We had all the equipment. We had the recipes, and we had the cooks to make it, and the bottling. We had the whole process in place. So first of all, let's look at the pivot strategy of a new use for the same product. So our current use was, to put the toppings on type of ice cream. Our new product or new use was to take our product, the chocolate sauce, and put it into ice cream. And, so the application would be that customers would put it into ice cream, and maybe we could add a flavor. And I'll get into the result of that in a second, or what that product is. So, we were just switching up the recipe a bit, not a big investment. And the second pivot strategy that we implemented was to find new customers for the same or similar product. So again, our ice cream customer, our customers, ice cream lovers who would pay, pretty good money for ice cream sundae. But guess what market was coming into play during this time? It was coffee franchises. It was, people that were buying fancy coffee drinks of frappuccino or a latte, a mocha latte. They were putting chocolate sauce in their coffee and paying a lot of money for that product. So we were very lucky. So luck came into play. The luck was that the trend for the specialty coffee market was on an upswing. And we were prepared for luck because we were willing to pivot, to look for a new customer group. And we found it. All the people that spend, $5, $4 for a cup of coffee with chocolate in it. All right, so here was our home run, and our resources that we had everything. We really did not have to retool the factory. We had a food chemist who happens to be my husband. That was his specialty. So think about, what is your specialty? What is your creative expertise? And leverage that. So we were able to reposition our product. So we now said, hey, we're making salted caramel sauce. Put it on top of your coffee or your hot chocolate. Don't just put it on top of your ice cream. And then we also had the opportunity to win an account, Dairy Queen. We actually created the Moo Latte product that we then made in gallon jugs and sold it to Dairy Queen. And then Dairy Queen used this ingredient to make a Moo Latte. So kind of a cool story there is, if you're creative, think about the non-creative people, right? And let me put that out there. So Moo Latte, Dairy Queen was already making this product, but the person behind the counter had to measure out all the ingredients. So it was ice cream, it was a coffee sauce, and then it was chocolate or caramel. But the Dairy Queen had to count on the employee to, put the right quantities of everything in it and mix it just right. So we looked at how can we simplify Dairy Queen's business and take out some of the labor and save the employee that prepared this beverage time, right? Because in the summer you got long lines. You want to try to make this quickly so you get more people through the line. So I cannot take credit for the creation of the product. It's Jim, who's a crazy food chemist. He then just did what the laborer was doing, but we did it in the factory and we packaged it. So we did, he made a recipe that was shelf stable and we were able to get it into this account. So the exciting part about that is Dairy Queen pulled us into a new business. We had no expertise in that business, but they taught us a lot because they were very particular about their recipe. So that was one account that we landed early on. And what we learned, our new customer segment was not only people who liked coffee drinks, or in this case, it's an ice cream drink with coffee in it. But we found companies that valued our ability to create new products, to be creative in our recipe development. So a light bulb went off and we said, hey, we're not just this food manufacturer that makes ice cream toppings. We're an in-house R&D facility, research and development. We can create a recipe that companies can then put their name on the label. So Big B is a coffee franchise up in Michigan, and they worked with us to create their own recipe of chocolate, of white chocolate, of caramel, but they wanted their own label. So here is our second home run. We changed up the packaging and we found a niche in the marketplace. The competitors in this industry are Ghirardelli, Monin, huge corporations that could spend a lot of money on branding. We were little. We were so little. We were so poor running our business. I should say frugal, right? Like every dime counted. We weren't marketers. We were manufacturers. So we then did a pivot and we started targeting companies that wanted their name on the label, that we could make small batches. They didn't have to buy truckloads of Ghirardelli. We were willing to sell them, cases of products. And we matched ourselves up with franchises that valued our creative product development expertise. So I'll just pause for a minute. Think about your business. Jot down, who is your target customer? Are you selling to an individual? Are you selling to a corporation? And then try to think about how you can simplify their life, their business. What can you do for them with your product or service? And when you think about that and write it down, that's called your unique value proposition. That's what you do that differentiates yourself from the competition. So again, think about what is a creative solution to your business challenge, your problem. And when I gave you our examples of pivot and strategy, I simplified it. It was up and down, like it keeps you up at night, you get a few gray hairs. Business is not simple, but if you have a plan, a strategy, a vision, and you share that with the people that are supporting your business, you're going to be successful. You have to be tenacious and keep after it. And as we talked about in the very beginning, you have to have a mind that is a growth mindset. It's just going to make your experience and journey as an entrepreneur a positive one. And I will confess, I probably had a fixed mindset in the beginning, but I learned how to have a growth mindset. So we're always constantly learning and improving ourselves. And I do believe that's why we're entrepreneurs, because we love that component of the business. All right, so a lot of information. I just have a few more slides here. I hope it's been helpful so far. We went through it quickly, but again, this is information that you'll have, and you can always reach out through Corinne and we can set up one-on-ones. Again, Corinne will kind of give you more detail about that. All right, so profits. Profits, again, are, it's just like running a budget at home. You want to make sure that your cost of operating your business are lower than your price that you're charging. So how can you be profitable? You can increase your price of your product or service, and you can justify that price by adding value. So the value that we added for our customers is we made small batches. We put their label on our product. It was a headache sometimes, but it was a niche, and we were able to become experts doing that. And we were able to sell that strategy, that package. We weren't just manufacturers, we were creative product developers. We would private label, we would make your product for you. So that's how we were able to increase our price, by adding that as a value. You also want to lower your cost, by working with what you have. You don't have to come up with a new idea and then just buy a lot of things to try to implement that idea. Really approach your business with a frugal mindset, because you are the biggest resource and there are affordable resources around you that will help you be successful in your business. So since we're all in different businesses, I just wanted to hit that from a very high level. But, the basic formula is revenues minus all your cost is going to be profit, is going to be your profit. And your profit was what you can put back into your business to continue to grow and improve it. All right, so I talked a little bit about pricing and adding value so that you can increase your price. So just very high level, whenever you think about your business, pretend you're the customer. What is a customer's perceived value? You're not just selling a product or a service, you're selling an experience or value. So think about what is the benefit to the customer and what is the cost to the customer. And this is a really hard exercise to go through, because it's easy to think of your product and service in terms of features, but to turn that into a benefit to your customer, it takes some time to just think about that. Talk to your friends. Grassroots marketing. You get the best information just by talking to people and asking them questions. They'll provide you with an amazing insight. So there's different pricing strategies. One is value added. So you're explaining why your product is better than the competition. You can charge more because you are adding value through the product or the experience. That's the marketing component, positioning your value in the marketplace. All right, so we talked about a lot. And now to wrap it up, I want to introduce a tool to you, or refresh, if it's a refresh, if you already are familiar with this, there's a tool out there called the Business Model Canvas. And I have a link there to a video that'll walk through all these different components. And Strategizer is a company that has a lot of free templates on their site. So if you wanted to download this business model, you could do that. But as you look at your business, think about your business in these components. I'm going to start with the customer. I'm very customer centric. So I don't think about what product or service I want to sell. Like I have something, everyone's going to want it. I think more about who is the customer? What's going on in the world out there? You know, who would be interested in what I am selling because it solves a problem for a group of people. So look at who you're currently selling your product to, your customer segment. And the word segment just means is you're taking the world, which is a potential customer. Everyone in the world is a potential customer, but you're segmenting them. You're dividing them into groups. So you want to segment them by, you can say demographics, like maybe you're targeting just women, or maybe you're targeting a certain age group, or maybe you're targeting a certain zip code. Those are demographics that you can use to segment. Another way you can segment is through psychographics or lifestyles. So Beth, I'm going to use you as an example. She was on the call early and she said her business is yoga. So she is segmenting her customer group is, you know, she can look at who is interested in yoga. Is it a lifestyle? Is it because they need to be flexible? Or, and I apologize, Beth, I have not taken a yoga class, but it is on my to-do list. Or so maybe I am not a customer for her, but there are other people, other segments of people that would be interested in taking her courses. It could be a young age group. It could be maybe women that are committed to self-improvement. They currently take spinning classes, or maybe they spend a lot of money on cosmetics and lotion. So they're willing to spend money on improving their physical self. So you have to look at the different segments and identify who would pay money for your product or service. Customer relationships is, you know, how do you communicate your offering to the customer? How do you just get the word out? Channels is how they can buy your product. Are you e-retail? Are they buying it online? Are you brick and mortar? Do they have to walk into a store? Are you selling a service only through social media? Value proposition we talked about, it's what makes you unique. I'm not going to get in today the left side. This is more the operational side of your business. But if you listen to this video, it'll drill down into that. Cost, the video will kind of address that as well. And then revenue streams, we talked about how are you pricing your product? How many customers do you need to purchase your product at that price in order to generate the revenues that you want? So this in itself is a whole nother course, but I wanted to introduce you to the concept of the business model canvas. It's kind of a shortcut to a business plan, but try to fill this out with bullet points for your business. And it's going to help you organize what you're thinking about, how you want to form your business. And it's going to show you what areas you need to work on. What have you really not thought through yet? So it's an amazing tool. All right, so a few minutes before I have to wrap it up, I wanted to share with you a few of my favorite podcasts. And again, there's links to both of these. Shopify and Instagram are two stories. This is on NPR. Guy Raz, How I Built This by Guy Raz. And it's really cool. He interviews the founders of these companies. This is on NPR. And it's really cool. He interviews the founders of these companies. This is on NPR. And it's really cool. He interviews the founders of these companies. This is on NPR. And it's really cool. He interviews the founders of these companies. Stories. This is on NPR. And it's really cool. He interviews the founders of these companies. Stories. This is on NPR. And it's really cool. He interviews the founders of these companies. Stories. This is on NPR. And it's really cool. He interviews the founders of these